The IIHS library has been organizing a range of exhibitions around the collection of books that we have. We have organized about 4 exhibitions so far, and the one we'll talk to you about today is the 4th in the series. But let me just give you a brief introduction to what this is all about before we launch into discussing our current exhibition. The exhibition series is called Hocus Focus, and there are about 4 to 5 held in a year. Each exhibition is around a particular theme. So, for example, the first one was around the city of Delhi. We also had one on the ecology of cities and the role of ecology in a city. We also had another one about creativity in urban settings, and the 4th is on Mumbai. The aim of these exhibitions is to help us grow our collection in a range of ways, so books, cinema, other kinds of media and material. So it helps us build out our collection, but it also helps throw light on particular relationships within the urban that each of these themes have. And Amog and I curated this exhibition on Mumbai, and we both have a special connection to the city, which is why we decided to put this together. I come from Bombay, I grew up there, and so I have very fond memories of growing up in the city, and I look at it from 2 different lenses, one as a former resident of the city, but also as someone who grew up there. And Amog, do you want to talk about your...
Yeah, so I actually grew up here in Bangalore, but I spent some of my most formative years in Mumbai. I went there to start undergraduate, to study in a bachelor's program, and then went on to do my master's over there. So I spent about 5 years totally in the city, and it was an incredible experience because it's quite a fascinating city in many ways. And being a student, I was also living in the city and at the same time studying a lot of its aspects. And I also moved around quite a bit. So I stayed for a while in South Bombay and then went on to live in different parts of the city, including Dadar and Prabhadevi and Baikula, Warsaw. I stayed for a bit in Bandra. And each of these areas have their own fascinating characteristics, their own special something that makes it unique. And I think one of the things I tried to bring out while curating this exhibition is that diversity which Mumbai has as a city.
So, which was your favorite sort of, if you had to pick one book or film that you selected for the exhibition, which one would it be?
So the first thing that comes into my head is this book by Naresh Fernandez. It's called Taj Mahal Foxtrot. It was a very so I'm a big fan of rock and jazz and blues music, and I found it fascinating. And Naresh Fernandez's book examines Bombay's jazz age in the 50s, and how the Taj Mahal Hotel was basically the center for a lot of jazz groups from both India and abroad, and how the jazz scene in the city grew at that time. And it was amazing to just read about it because it's kind of it's a bit of a forgotten piece of history that that when you hear about it, it just adds to the richness of the city as a whole.
I think I agree with that. I mean, that is one of my favorite books about the city, partly because it talks about a music scene that is slowly, I think, dying in the city, with a lot of former jazz clubs closing down. There being a ban on live music beyond a certain time, and so I think Naresh Fernandez's book is a very kind of timely one to sort of remind us of what the vibrancy of the city used to be. I think I don't really have a favorite, I think, in the books that we've selected, but I think what I really like is that we have a really interesting blend of fiction and non-fiction writing about the city across, different times. And I think that is a very sort of interesting collection of different perspectives, because a lot of people who've written these books have a love-hate relationship with the city. And I think a lot of the books, so for example, some of Kiran Nagarkar's books bring out the sort of many-faceted cultures in Bombay. So from migrant communities of Catholics from Goa to the Parsis to people from South India that live in different enclaves in the city. So I think what we've got in this exhibition is a very nice collection of all of these different perspectives, both in fiction and in non-fiction. Is there anything else you want to talk about the exhibition and sort of put the process of putting together the exhibition?
Well, so it was a long process. I mean, we had to and there were a lot of books, especially when you're looking at curating an exhibition on a topic such as this, especially if you're looking at a big city like Delhi or Mumbai. There are so many books you can choose from, and there's so many topics to look at. I mean, it could range from Gyan Prakash's Mumbai Fables, which takes little stories, very famous stories, but takes bits and pieces from Bombay's recent history and its older stories as well, and puts them together. There was that sort of a book, and then there were the more artistic, picturesque coffee table books that you could find on the city. I can't think of one immediately.
Rahul Mehrotra's book on Bombay, the Cities Within, for example.
The Cities Within, and I think that's the one where there were two sides to it. I think.
No, I think that's Bombay Then and Now.
Yeah. So there were these interesting books which would look at Bombay in the past and Mumbai as a city today, and try and examine the contrast of the changes. So it was quite a fun process, but at the same time quite challenging to try and pick out books that we could put into the exhibition, because there's a limited bit of space and you have to ensure that you made the best of it.
I think what we've managed to do really nicely here is, like I said before, bring together different perspectives on the city. We have a couple more planned. One, for example, I think Amog again is curating another one on graphic novels and the city. And so we'll have a few more in the pipeline over the course of this year, and it's a really exciting process to watch our collection grow.